or in Samurai Bringer, you can make a lot of custom moves, and there's not too much information on all the modifiers. So I'm going to be making a video on what each of them do and how they affect moves. So the first modifier is expand. Gives your weapon a bigger hitbox so you can hit more enemies. Good for when bosses move a lot or when they're hard to hit if you're having trouble hitting them. We're just gonna show what expand looks like. So as you can see, the swords gets a bit bigger. So these modifiers work with like all the moves. So like, instead of slash down, we could do a thrust, right? So we have this thrust, big swords. There we go. I have a couple of videos on like some secret like custom moves for the weapons. I'm gonna be doing another one on the ninja sword soon. So say if you make one of those secret moves like this. So we got this move. This is one of the secret moves for the dual weapons. So if you were to take this move and add expand, like the previous moves, you get this huge swords to work with. And then obviously if you add other modifiers, it'll change even more and you can stack them and stuff. Alright, so we're gonna go into the next modifier, which is Sumidare. And it's basically like it adds extra lines of damage, and for range stuff it adds like piercing, so it can hit multiple enemies. And as you can see, it hits multiple times. And then if you were to add this with say expand, now you have huge swords that hit multiple times. So as you can see, just with this game, it's through trial and error. You can just make your own kind of moves. It's really cool. There's a lot of variability. We're gonna go to the next modifier, which is defense break. So enemies can guard, you can guard also, and it'll reduce damage you take, or the enemies will reduce the damage they take, and it'll show guard. Defense breaks you have, the higher chance you have at breaking the enemy's guard. I haven't found this to be too important because it hits so many times that it eventually breaks through. And I find other modifiers to be more worth it when you're limited on space. So now we're gonna go with wave. So this allows moves to become AoE. You can't really see it with this. So I'm going to show another move, for example. So as you can see, it shoots a little wave modifier out, and there's a lot of moves where it works with this. And then you can add obviously the other modifiers like expand and Sumidare and power. So as you can see, it's bigger, all that kind of stuff. Everything stacks, pretty cool. So we're gonna move on to the next modifier, which is power. And the more power you have, the faster the animation becomes. So as you can see, I have 8 power right now. It's pretty quick, and so this allows you to not get knocked back while you're doing your moves, which is really helpful. Cause basically, like the main way you miss your moves is by getting knocked back. And say if we do 1 power, you can see how much slower it is. All of these moves are about kind of min-maxing certain things. So you want to find out how much power you want to use before it gets too slow, and then maybe how much expand you want to use before it gets too small or too big, etc. So now guidance, this one is mostly for ranged weapons. So if we take slice and take bow instead. So when we shoot the bows, what it'll do is they will fly through, or what so what guidance does with the bow or other ranged weapons, like say this manipulate. So say we throw these spears out or we shoot our bow, it'll straight up track like a heat-seeking missile to the enemies. And if you have Sumidare and it passes through them, it can pass through them, and if it has high enough guidance, it'll turn back around and head back through again, which is really good. So you can hit multiple times, and then you can obviously add wave so it gets AoE. And then speed array hits multiple times, like I explained. Expand makes the projectiles bigger, so we'll give a quick example. So now the arrows are much bigger, so they're easier to hit. And this works with like all the kind of things. So like obviously with these, you can make these bigger. So let's do an example. Get rid of the guidance real quick. Just add some expand. And so now we can see. And then say more bigger. What if we were to all these modifiers? Some moves don't modify well, but most of them work pretty well. It's going to be through trial and error. They switch to the spear. And obviously, once you get done with the modifiers, so we got the spear, you have the elements. And now, each boss is weak to a certain element, and all of the bosses are resistant to the evil element. All the stuff. And then so manipulate. What manipulate does is it's basically like force powers from Star Wars. It allows you to control things with your mind. If we got the sub weapon, see how we're launching everything with our mind? If we were to take this off the sub weapon, let's take off manipulate. See, now we can't even use it because there's no way to use the weapons because we're already holding two weapons. What piece of that? Alright, so the next is going to be step. So what the step does is it modifies moves and it allows them to it like kind of moves you forward while you're doing the attack. Like that. And the more step you have, the farther you go. And yeah, it can be combined with obviously the other moves like expand and all this kind of stuff. So say you go really far and the sword's really big and it hits multiple times, you know. There's so many ways to make custom moves in this game, just whatever kind of floats your boat. So we're gonna go to the next modifier, which is jump, and it allows moves to be used in mid-air, and also certain moves it'll activate a jump with it, and the more jump you have, the higher you go. So like, so say we have slash up, see how high we go, and then you can if you take down the jump to like say just 1, you don't move up that high. So let's put this back up, and then you can, all these moves you can modify with the stuff to your liking, make it however you want, you know. And then say, so I really love Storm with the slash up jump combo because it sucks them in while you're hitting them up, so it's like a really good juggle move. Yeah, look how high you get up. And then there's a lot of moves where they launch you up in the air, and then there's moves where you can combo it to like slamming back down and all that kind of stuff. So now we're gonna go through covering fire. Alright, so now this move, it's kind of a little bit different than these main yellow moves. It's the covering fire. What it does is it rains like arrows down, and then as you begin to level it up, it becomes stronger. So now, like, say look, it's gonna be cannonballs now, which are pretty cool. And then you could eventually get it to be like a whole meteor crashing down at level 20. So I'll show that, and this is pretty cool. It's a whole meteor. Look at that. Pretty big explosion too. So the bow, the more level of bow you have, the more shots it takes. And then so with expand with the bow, what it's gonna do is make the bows bigger, like I've said previously, or the arrows bigger. Speed array adds piercing, so it can hit through multiple enemies, hit multiple times. Wave does an AoE effect. The AoE effect you can see on like similar moves. It's like the kind of particle effect you can see. And then power prevents recoiling damage, and with like I've seen with like the lightning, sometimes it can make it like kind of like skip around in a weird way. And then lastly guidance is what allows it to track things better. A good way to figure out moves is checking out samurais you have unlocked and just looking at their move sets and building upon those, because a lot of times they'll have like secret moves that you know, combine together to you know, make cool moves. The way to figure out if you made a secret move or not is checking the MOB column. So I'll show you. If I have slice 3 and reverse 3 and it makes a custom move, both of them will be yellow, and then anything I add after that will be red for extra damage. But this when it's yellow, it actually changes the move. So that's how you'll know. Knowing all this stuff, hope you guys can find some cool moves to make, and find any really cool moves. I suggest you put them down in the comments, and I want to be able to try them out, because I love trying out new moves. So if you guys find anything cool to make, put it in the comments. If you have any suggestions for new videos or any other games, put it in the comments too. I'm happy to check out other games, make guides for other games. If you've been enjoying my content recently, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm definitely going to be making more content for this game and other games.